potentially missing time? And did the Chris Brooks MRI indicate that he could be out a while?
No, so the particular cases that you speak of, I would say that X is more day to day. Chris is more week to week. I would say. Um, there's some swelling that has to go down with Chris before we can totally get the timeline, um, the the rough estimation, and we're gonna see uh, how X calms down and responds to treatment here coming. So um, just fun, you know, normal weekly question marks that we have to figure out.
Is Jalen Phillips on snap count limitations still dealing with the oblique?
We try. Yeah, to a very degree, we try to be very intentional with, when you get really good players on the field, your temptation is to just let them go. I know he wanted even more involvement than he got. Speaking to who he is as a player and the type of mentality he brings, but yeah, we were trying to be concerted with the amount that he got, as to not overuse him.
Mike, I know you talk about respecting the opponent. Last couple of weeks, though, on paper, obviously the opponent was on paper inferior. That's not going to be the case this week facing a Philly team. How much does that change, you think, the mindset of a team preparing, knowing what's ahead with the quality of the opponent and having to do that on the road on a Sunday night?
No, I think so much of football is, you're playing an opponent, but it's individualized to the particular team. But like I spoke to the team today. This the game will probably garner more attention from outside the building for sure. Considering I'm still waiting to have a question about Carolina Panthers defense or offense. Still waiting. No. Okay. And we already got one on Philly this week, but I think it's really hard to turn it on for good teams. I think you're already behind the eight ball if, like, all of a sudden you're going to say, all right, now we got to work hard. That's why it was everything to me how we approached last week, in terms of making sure that we're at the stage of a development as a team to worry about ourselves. This week will be no different in terms of that. Having said that, um, we, me personally, I get so fired up to play. I think Philadelphia Eagles are one of the best teams in the National Football League, and when you're trying to be your very best, you want to play the best. So I know all of our guys will be excited for that, but I think if they hadn't prepared adequately for the Carolina Panthers, they would have lost yesterday. You don't all of a sudden turn it on when you're down 14-0. They were prepared. They have some good players and made some good plays, and but the bottom line is each and every week you have to put your best foot forward, or you're going to find out the hard way the type of results that lends.
Coach, on the heels of that last answer, this might sound like pandering. I promise it's not. I wanted to ask you this going into the question, but you guys, with Derek Brown and Brian Burns, who have had a lot of production this year, not much yesterday, how were you guys able to?
Oh, this guy just all of a sudden jumps in with the Carolina. No, timing's everything, and your timing revealed yourself. No, they're very, very big time challenges. That team had, I think, going into the game, they were number 2 in the league on third downs. And they've been making some plays on the defensive side of the ball, and I think our guys were prepared enough to handle that challenge, and as best they could keep them off the stat sheet that they're used to being on. So those are huge things when you're trying to win football games. I know the from an individual standpoint, those guys that had those matchups knew what type of players they're going against. That will be the same thing this week. There's just going to be more guys that have those matchup concerns because of the quality of the team that we're playing overall. But I think you can't just show up. You have to really, really be on your P's and Q's to be able to perform against playmakers. And I thought that our guys on the edge, whether it was offensive line and or tight end or fullback, everybody responsible for blocking did a good job in preparation and execution to keep those guys from making plays because they're good players.
What was your assessment of the cornerbacks not named Xavier Howard yesterday?
There was some definite development. I thought it started in the week of practice, but there was a couple things that I thought we took away that are problem plays that they've had success on. I thought there was a couple instances that could, from an onlooker, you could blame some of the perimeter guys for some completions that more had to do with underneath coverage issues. Overall, I thought they competed and played pretty well, and I thought that there was a lot of pressure that we got on the quarterback that was a result of coverage. That it was coverage, second or third hitch pressure and good. There was really the most splashes of good team defense, which we're building on a week that I thought we had our best game with that the week previous. So I think our team defense is coming together like we had hoped.
Like you mentioned earlier about not wanting to turn on the switch, you want to be able to come out ready and play the way. Is there a balance there between the confidence of the team, particularly the offense, knowing, hey, we're down 14-0, no big deal, we can score, but at the same time not wanting to be in that position? How do you balance that of knowing you can do it, but you don't want to be obviously in that spot?
No, absolutely. I think it's important for you to have different for games to play out in very different fashions, specifically in the beginning of the season, just because you have to. It never changes. Like, there are leads more often than not by one team, and in the first half, first quarter, what does that do for the various teams? If you do have a lead, how do you approach the rest of the game? We've had a couple of those scenarios, and I think we're comfortable in that setting, having a lead and pressing forward and not taking the foot off the gas. I hadn't seen our team respond to a 2-score deficit the way we'd like to, with the with the only sample size coming from Buffalo. So that's something that you have to do, and you just acknowledge that however it plays out, we can handle it, but you never want to end up in a hole. But it's good to know that your team has the experience together as a team to rely back on. Like, hey, this is the way we operate when things aren't going ideal. That is huge in the game of football, just like life. You're never going to just have a path of no resistance. So it is a balance, but I think you can take things from every experience, and that was one that was new to us.
What did you see from Liam Eichenberg in the second start at center?
So I expected some comfort level in his game and some things that him being able to execute things that maybe he might not have his first rep. It was a pretty safe bet considering it was the first ever time that he had ever done that in a game. So I saw really just him handling that position. It's such a communicative position, and there's a difference. That step one is making a right call before the snap. Step two is executing the snap, and step three is the actual play. Well, even within step, even before you get the ball snapped, your conviction and how you authoritatively make a declaration or set a combination target, that has implications. So when we could feel it during the week. Actually had guys mid-play celebrating his decisive call, and that manifests itself in the game. I thought his play, he blocked people well, but he also did his part to help others block their guys as well with appropriate communication and decisiveness.
The
Connor
decision.
Williams this week, is he on track to practice?
I'll defer to David.
That was your question, wasn't it?
No, I had a different
That
question.
was your
It
question.
wasn't actually.
It was related to an injury.
Not Connor Williams.
No, so he'll he had a good weekend, and I just because just because we try to protect players from themselves, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't practice Wednesday, but that will be a day-to-day thing, and it was he had a good weekend, although frustrated. He's one of the more frustrated players that doesn't play that I've been around. He gives you the worst look. He's mad at you that you're protecting him.
You have 2 weeks still to activate Jeff Wilson. What led to him not being put on the 53 this past weekend? Do you feel good about him being able to play this week?
Yeah, no, I think that he was prepared enough to play. Going to the game plan with regard to the entire team and the scope of what was going on with the team. It kind of necessitated us to have that spot, directed somewhere else. I think he was more than prepared, and we're very aware of the windows. So we just have to be patient, like a movie premiere. Okay.
I wanted to ask you about Tyreek. I think he's had a couple of instances this year with cramps, and I think by his own admission, he says, I don't hydrate enough. I need to hydrate more. And I know he's had IVs. How much of a concern is that now?
No, I think it's something that we've tried, we've tooled around with. He's as accountable as it comes. He really takes that C on his jersey serious with being a captain. So he's trying to, be hard and proactive. And I'm sure he's right. I know that, he's a high octane athlete that we've been proactive with some of the IV measures as well, and it kind of, I think it's kind of game related when you go a bunch of spurts where he's doing some very explosive things. It seems to come up. We'll continue to try to get ahead of that because we prefer when he's on the field and not off of it for sure.
I've been curious for a while. Some coaches give victory Mondays. We seem to see these players in here win or lose on Mondays. What's your philosophy behind that?
Well, I think, you hear me say it's putting your money where your mouth is when you talk about the development of a team during the season and getting better. You hope that players, you create an atmosphere where you don't it's more not about avoiding the building for a day or not doing that and making sure that we're getting better. That game tape there's nothing more valuable. I think that prioritizing that, Victory Mondays end up meaning that you take some of those learning lessons and you put them on the day that you're starting the game plan for the other opponent. We do it at times when we're robbed of sleep and, guys need some time to sleep in, but outside of that, it's too valuable of a teaching tool in our minds and really my mind that you want to get better from so that your best football is at the end of the year.
Coach, we hear on the broadcast all the time about Tua's ability to hold defenders, look them off, move guys. I just wanted to hear from your perspective how valuable that is and how that makes this offense go in a sense.
For when you're trying to play timing type football, it's imperative that you have to, sometimes guys are in zones that you don't want them to be in for you to throw on time. So that ability, not only is it good for opening up windows, but it also really helps you get the answers to the test and where to go with the ball. Because if guys aren't responding to your vision within the timing that you're used to, then you can replace them with a check down or an outlet or progress throughout the progression. So to be confident to get past the ball against zoning defenses, it's absolutely a critical. All the teams that have quarterbacks that do well with drop back passes, those teams have quarterbacks that are able to manipulate zoning defenders because defenses get paid too, and they generally work a lot at zones and how to orchestrate them. So to be able to know where everybody is on the field and be able to trust that and to be able to manipulate defenders to try to get open windows, it's a huge part of his game that makes that is one of the reasons he's so productive, really.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.